The Puzzle Box by Joker. The Joker, a puzzle box. What's going on, everybody? GemMint here. Happy Wednesday. Happy new comic book day. It's January 5th, and as always, going to go through this week's comics as spoiler-free as possible. And being that it's Wednesday, you know I'm going to be on Whatnot later today, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, with an hour-long, $1, 1-minute auction. Come swing by, show some love, buy something if you like it. And if you haven't downloaded the app yet, it's easily the best new place to buy and sell your comic books. It's like YouTube live auctions mixed with the already existing audience of eBay, and it's super fun. You can actually get a $10 credit towards your first purchase if you download and sign up using the link in the description. All right, guys, let's start off with Image, and we have a Nocterra one-shot. This one's Blacktop Bill, the Blacktop Bill special, which is an origin story of this mercenary serial killer guy before the big PM, and how terrible he was then and how much worse he got in this new world of Nocterra after the big PM, where everything is dark and you got the shades running around. It's got like horror elements to it. It was super kind of disturbing in the beginning, but really going in depth into this character, which you just know is going to play a major role in the main story. Next up, we have Nita Hall's Nightmare Blog by Rodney Daniels. I've been a fan of this one from the beginning. Demonic possession, kind of mixing it in with this blues singer from back in the day, and kind of how musicians were treated back then, this whole record label undertone, with this whole heaven and hell demons possessing people and going on murderous rampages. Nita Hall has a specter sibling or so that's helping her kind of as a medium into helping the humans here with this Nightmare Blog. So it's interesting. It's got a nice richness to it, man, with that whole like music background. I'm really digging it. Then we have Two Moons, issue number 8 by Arcudi, Gia Dordani, Nero, and Hessler. I do like Two Moons. I feel a little bit lost, man. I'm not really sure on who the main characters are besides Two Moons. I like his flashback to his grandfather and his ancestors when they go to battle with these zombie-like creatures. It's super dope, gory and gruesome as well. But I just wish that we could tighten up the main story so that I can understand, like, what's the overarching thing going on here? We're just out in the desert fighting zombies. Is that it? And then lastly, we got Monkey Meat, issue number 1 by Junie Baz. So I flipped through this one. I didn't get all the way through it. The art style was like a Green Day's Dookie type of vibe to it. It felt like very 90s grunge, and it felt almost like a joke, right? This is a monkey world where they're slanging this monkey meat, or selling this meat, I should say, in cans, and it's kind of gruesome as well. I just thought it was kind of like a Mad Magazine kind of thing. It wasn't really for me. Moving on to Marvel, we have Amazing Spider-Man issue 84. This is by Ziegler, Medina, and Grutengern. So this is now following up with the Ben Reilly stuff. The last 2 issues have been all about Peter Parker in the hospital trying to recover. And this is Spider-Man versus Doc Ock. And it felt like intentionally campy, like what you would think Spider-Man versus Doc Ock would be. And I really wasn't digging it, man. I don't know. This story definitely doesn't feel like it has any really clear direction. It's kind of just like whatever. Like they're biding time until a permanent creative team comes. So I guess we're gonna have to just roll with it. Then we have X-Men Inferno issue number 4. Jonathan Hickman, Shati, Caselli, and Curel. I love this. This is absolutely what Jonathan Hickman wanted to do with the X-Men. The epilogue, the follow-up, the finale of Hoxpox and Reign of X and all that stuff. There was a lot of tie-ins, a lot of other ongoing series that came after Hoxpox, but this is like that main storyline, the deaths of Moira McTaggart and what happens if she dies that last time, what's going on with Nimrod and the Orcus Forge and that overall looming threat. That's what's going on here. It's a page turner. When I turn the page, it's like, I don't know, there's excitement in these pages. So happy to see Hickman sending his finale on the X-Men stuff that he started with Hoxpox. Next up, we have Captain America Iron Man issue number 2. Amazing Alex Ross cover. This is by Landy, Yunazuda, and Rosenberg. Not really digging this series. It's a lot of like buddy cop with Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. I don't think it works in this issue. They have this kind of villain that's like a mixture of the two of them with their powers. I don't know. I'm not really digging it. It's got great covers, but the story to me is just whatever. Then we have Shang-Chi, issue number 7. This is by Jean Luan Yang, Dyke Ruan, and Triona Farrell. So this is the first one that doesn't have like a big Marvel team up for it. It's like, okay, now Shang-Chi's off on his own. And it's essentially his mother's origin story. It feels very much like the movie with the homeland and that kind of whole thing. Although I don't feel like it was done as well as the movie, but it's familiar. So I kind of see what they're doing. It was an okay issue. I mean, I'm in 7 issues deep so far. Then we have X-Men issue number 6. This one's by Jerry Dugan, LaRaz, and Garcia. I really dug this one, man. You have this thing going on with this Captain Krakoa and this Cyclops story, and also touching base on what's going on with humans that wanted to inhabit Mars first, and now it's owned by Arakko. So we see what the humans do here, and it's very interesting, man. So people laying claims to territories, getting a little too close for comfort. The Krakoa man tying in with the Cyclops stuff is interesting. Got to see where that goes. But it was great. I had to look back at the cover and see who wrote it, because I mean, I like Jerry Dugan, but I was like, man, I'm really digging how this one's written. And then we have the last issue of the Darkhold with Omega. This one's by Orlando, Torney, Poggi, and Arbitov. Yeah, I mean, it wraps up this whole Darkhold thing. These heroes that we had in all the one-shots, them reading the Darkhold, them seeing this horrific kind of version of the world. Those like twisted versions have to come back and fight Chthon, and then you have the Scarlet Witch thing going on as well. Pretty cool ending. I like where they leave Scarlet Witch out of this miniseries, but it was just a fun kind of horror-inspired Marvel book. Then we have Thor issue 20, The God of Hammers Part 2 by Donny Cates, Nick Klein, and Matt Wilson. Almost got pick of the week. I really like this stuff. Big, huge, epic pages. What's going on with Mjolnir? Something totally new and different, because Donny Cates likes to do epic bar talk type of stories, and I'm here for it. Love the stuff between Thor and Odin, and the kind of relationship dynamic that there is now with Thor being Odin. So yeah, man, I really dug it. I love this series as a whole. It had a couple of low points, or a little slower points, I would say. But this one is back up on the high epicness. Can't wait to see where it goes. And last for Marvel, we have The Wastelanders Doom issue number 1. This one's by Grombeck, Ota, and Valenza. So I've been digging these one-shots. This one didn't really feel the same as the Old Man Quill, the Hawkeye, the Wolverine one. It felt like so much more self-contained, dealing with Doom. Yeah, he's in this post-apocalyptic future, and he's kind of stuck in this place within Latveria that's bound by magic, that's hidden from him, and it is kind of interesting in that sense. I was kind of surprised on who the villain was here. Not going to spoil it for you guys. So I did enjoy it, although it did feel a little different than those other one-shots. All right, guys, now on to DC Comics. I'm still reading The Puzzle Box by Joker, The Joker, A Puzzle Box, by Rosenberg, Marino, Crystal, Doe, Cifuentes, Areola, and that's it, issue number 6. So the thing that this book does that's unique is that, you know, for 6 issues straight, Joker's being interrogated by Commissioner Gordon and the Gotham City Police Department, and he's, you know, telling us these stories, and then we're seeing them play out with Joker in charge of the narration. So it's pretty interesting. It's all about who killed the Riddler, and some cool stuff here, but it's been like the same thing, like issue after issue. I'm not really digging it. I don't understand what the puzzle box is. I don't think you're supposed to know what it is yet, and it's just kind of, I'm a little bit over it for 6 issues. And on to Detective Comics, we have issue 1047 by Tamaki, Reese, Mickey, and Anderson. It was okay. I mean, all this stuff about the Arkham Asylum, the rebranded one. What happens if it all goes to shit? Serial killers roaming. Just what you thought was going to happen with Arkham Asylum is going on in this book. I really dug it. I think Tamaki's been doing such a great job balancing this book and Crush and Lobo, which we'll get to in just a moment. But first, we got to talk about Batman, issue number 119 by Joshua Williamson Molina, Janine D. Benedetto, and Maury. Batman vs. the Abyss. Excellent. Awesome issue here. Pick of the week contender. So was Inferno. But this one was just such a great battle in the darkness. It felt like cinematic. It was big. It was like something you would see in a Batman flick. Awesome issue. I passed on the backup. And then mentioning Tamaki, we have Crush and Lobo, the final issue, issue 8. She's joined by Newellpan and Bon Villain. So she does such a great job of narrating Crush here. When you see that narration box and you're reading it, you hear Crush in your head. You don't feel like you're just reading words. So I think that the narration was so unique and fresh in this book. The colors were vibrant, and the final fate of where Crush ends after this. Does she make amends with her father Lobo? Does she kill him? Does she send him to jail? Does she let him go free? It's the conclusion, leaving it open-ended for something else. I thought it was a great series. All right, on to DC Horror's Soul Plumber. This is issue 4 of 6 by Parks, Zabrowski, Cassell, McCrae, Holden, and Spicer. Man, not really digging this one. It feels really inappropriate, really raunchy. I can't believe DC publishes this, but it just feels like it's just nasty just for the hell of it. And like the story, I don't know, it lost me on this issue. I kind of dug the premise a little bit, but it feels so cracked magazine, kind of just like Monkey Meat, but this one is way more grotesque and vulgar. And listen, like I'm not opposed to any of that stuff, but it just feels like it was doing it just for the hell of it. You know, just throwing out F words just because, and it just wasn't entertaining, man. I wasn't digging this one at all, if you haven't noticed. All right, guys, on to my pick of the week, my favorite comic book of this week. Before I give it to you, make sure to hit that like, make sure you're subscribed here, and hit that notification bell. And let's talk about Dark Knights of Steel, issue number 3 of 12 by Tom Taylor, Putri, and Priano. This has the Game of Thrones vibe mixed so well with the superhero comic book lore that we love. The family, the factions, the beginning of a war happening here. The kind of Supergirl taking matters into her own hands. Amazing. You feel the emotion within these pages. I love it. I think every time this comes out, it's going to be my pick of the week. 3 times in a row so far. So those are the comics for this week. Overall, a great week for books. Let me know what your favorites were in the comments below. And stay minty fresh. Peace.